Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Renuka RS with the evening news. The headlines. All arrangements in place for second phase of state assembly elections in Bihar tomorrow. 94 constituencies spread over 17 districts to go for polls in this phase. Centre extends emergency credit line guarantee scheme till 30th of this month. National COVID recovery rate improves to 91.68%. Donald Trump and Joe Biden seek votes in battleground states on last day of US presidential campaign. And in IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals take on Royal Challengers Bangalore in Abu Dhabi. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. In Bihar, elaborate security arrangements are in place for the second phase of state assembly elections tomorrow. In all, 94 constituencies spread over 17 districts including Patna, Vaishali, Sitamarhi, Darbhanga and Madhubani will go to polls in this phase. Over 2.86 crore voters will decide the political future of 1,463 candidates. They include 146 women, 513 independent candidates and 1 transgender in the fray. Polling will begin from 7 a.m. and will continue till 6 p.m. Chief Electoral Officer H.R. Srinivas said polling will be held up to 4 p.m. in 8 Naxal-affected constituencies including Raghopur, Paru, Meenapur and Alauli. Additional Chief Electoral Officer Sanjay Kumar Singh told AIR News the security forces have been deployed in Naxal-infested areas to ensure trouble-free polling.
All the polling station locations will have paramilitary forces in place, and in addition to that, strong paramilitary presence on all polling station locations. We'll also have patrolling in each 4 to 5 booths. Then between 12 to 15 booths, we'll have one sector party, not only with the force but also with a spare EVM. A layer higher than this, we'll have a super zonal magistrate and force. So we'll have multi-layered patrolling, come need-based reinforcement arrangements. And in addition to that, we'll have control rooms, all returning offices in all the district headquarters and at the state headquarters as well.
The Election Commission has instructed to follow COVID protocol during the conduct of elections. Our correspondent reports that every person has been instructed to wear a mask during election-related activities.
Electorates have to wear masks during exercising their right to franchise. Thermal scanning of all persons shall be carried out and sanitizers shall be made available. All polling booths have already been sanitized today. In view of COVID situation, only 1,000 electors will exercise their franchise at each polling station instead of 1,500. BJP is contesting on 46 seats, JDU 43 and Vikasil Insan Party 5 seats in this phase. While RJD is contesting 56 seats, Congress has fielded 24 candidates, LJP has fielded 52 candidates, RLSP 36, BSP 33 and NCP 29 candidates. Chief Ministerial candidate of Grand Alliance Tejasvi Yadav is seeking re-election from Raghopur Assembly constituency. Political fortunes of 7 cabinet ministers Nand Kishore Yadav, Shravan Kumar, Rana Randhir Singh, Ram Sevak Singh, Maheshwar Hazari, Suresh Sharma and Madan Sahni will be decided in this phase. With Krishna Kumar Lal, Anand Kumar, AIR News.
Elections are being held in 3 phases for the 243-member Bihar Assembly. While the first phase polling was held on the 28th of October, voting in the other 2 phases will be held on the 3rd and 7th of November. Counting of votes will take place on the 10th of November. Meanwhile, campaigning for the 3rd and final phase of Bihar Assembly elections has gained momentum in 78 constituencies spread over 15 districts. Star campaigners and senior leaders of all parties are on a whirlwind tour. Senior leaders of NDA and Grand Alliance are addressing back-to-back public meetings and election rallies in support of party candidates. More from our correspondent.
BJP President JP Nadda addressed a rally in Parihar in Sitamarhi, hitting hard on RJD. The BJP President said the party is incorrigible and will never work for development of Bihar. Senior BJP leader and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh held 4 public meetings. He claimed in Ramgarhwa, in Raxaul that the performance of NDA will be overwhelming in these elections. JDU President and Chief Minister Nitish Kumar addressed rallies in Pipra and Triveniganj in Supol, where he appealed to people to vote for 15 years of performance of NDA government. RJD leader Tejaswi Prasad Yadav held multiple rallies in Supol, Saharsa, Samastipur and Araria districts. CPI ML General Secretary Dipankar Bhattacharya held a rally in Sikta in West Champaran. CPI leader Kanhaiya Kumar addressed a rally in Azamnagar in Katihar. AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi addressed rallies in Katihar, and LJP Chief Chirag Paswan in his public meetings raised the issue of corruption in 7 Nischay schemes. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
Voting for elections in 54 assembly seats in Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Odisha, Haryana, Chhattisgarh, Telangana and Nagaland will also take place tomorrow. In Madhya Pradesh, polling will be held tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the State Assembly by-polls in 28 constituencies spread over 19 districts. Voting time has also been extended by 1 hour in view of the COVID-19. The Chief Electoral Officer of the state has appealed to voters to exercise their franchise in order to strengthen their democracy. Our correspondent filed this report.
The 230-member MP Assembly currently has 201 members. Of these, BJP has 107 MLAs, while Congress has 87 members. 7 members belong to other parties. The remaining 29 seats are vacant, of which 28 will be voted tomorrow. After the by-election, 116 MLAs will be needed to remain in power for any party. The BJP needs 9 MLAs to stay in power, while the Congress requires 29 legislators. Joint Chief Electoral Officer Mohit Bundas informed that all necessary arrangements have been completed. Care will be taken to ensure masking, use of sanitizer and thermal scanning at polling booths. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Gujarat, preparations for polling of State Assembly by-polls in 8 constituencies are in place. Polling will be held tomorrow. More from our correspondent.
8 assembly seats where polling will be held tomorrow are Abdasa, Limri, Morbi, Dari, Karjan, Gadda SC and Dang and Kaprada ST seats. Total 81 candidates are in play for 8 seats. Polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. More than 18,17,000 voters, including 9,03,353 women and 34 third-gender voters, are eligible to use their franchise. Outcome of these by-elections will not impact the current political balance in the state. Ruling BJP has a strength of 103 in 182 member state assembly, while Congress has 65 members at present. All 8 seats were vacated following the resignations of Congress MLAs early this year during the Rajya Sabha elections. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Uttar Pradesh, all necessary arrangements have been made for by-elections in 7 assembly seats tomorrow. Chief Electoral Officer Ajay Kumar Shukla told AIR News that thermal scanning of all voters will be done before entering the booth.
सभी बूथों को सैनिटाइज किया गया है। पूरे तरीके से बूथ सैनिटाइज रहेंगे। जो वहाँ पे हमारे कार्मिक हैं वो फेस शील्ड, मास्क, ग्लव्स सबके साथ रहेंगे और जो वोटर भी वोट डालने जाएंगे उनके लिए भी ग्लव्स की व्यवस्था, सैनिटाइजेशन, हैंड वॉश यानी हाथ धोने की एवं सभी व्यवस्थाएं सुनिश्चित की गयी। सभी जगह जो सामाजिक दूरी है उसके लिए 2-2 गज की दूरी पे गोले बने हैं ताकि लाइन उस तरह की उसमें एक दूसरे के संपर्क में लोग न आए।
All preparations have been put in place for the by-polls to the 14 Southern Angami 1 and 60 Pungro Kipire Assembly constituencies to be held tomorrow. The polling will begin from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. There are 22 polling stations in 14 Southern Angami 1 and 77 polling stations under 60 Pungro Kipire Assembly constituencies. The electorate for the by-election contains 43,088 voters.
In Haryana, the stage is set for the polling for Baroda Assembly constituency. Giving this information, District Election Officer Shamlal Punia said the polling parties have been sent to the polling centres and everything is in place to conduct free and fair polling. The Union Government has extended the Emergency Credit Line Guarantee Scheme ECLGS by 1 month till the 30th of November or till an amount of 3 lakh crore rupees is sanctioned under the scheme, whichever is earlier. This has been done in view of the opening up of various sectors in the economy and the expected increase in demand during the ongoing festive season. This extension will provide a further opportunity to such borrowers who have not availed of the scheme so far to obtain credit under the scheme. The ECLGS was announced as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat package to provide fully guaranteed and collateral-free additional credit to MSMEs, business enterprises, individual loans for business purposes and mudra borrowers. Borrowers with credit outstanding up to 50 crore rupees as on the 29th of February 2020 and with an annual turnover of up to 250 crore rupees are eligible under the scheme. Interest rates under the scheme are capped at 9.25% for banks and FIs and 14% for NBFCs. Tenure of loans provided under the scheme is 4 years, including a moratorium of 1 year on principal repayment. An amount of 2.03 lakh crore rupees has been sanctioned under the scheme to 60.67 lakh borrowers so far, while an amount of 1.48 lakh crore rupees has been disbursed. The Ministry of Finance will be releasing an amount of 6,000 crore rupees as the second tranche to 16 states and 3 union territories today under its special window to states for meeting the GST compensation cess shortfall. This amount was raised at a weighted average yield of 4.42%. This amount will be passed on to the states and union territories at the same interest rate, which is lower than the cost of borrowings for the states. The Ministry of Finance has facilitated loans of 12,000 crore rupees till date under the special window to states and UTs. According to the Ministry of Finance, 21 states and 3 union territories till date have opted for the special window under option 1. The loans raised by the central government are released on a back-to-back basis to states and UTs in lieu of GST compensation cess releases. The loans have been released to the states and union territories including Andhra Pradesh, Assam, Bihar, Goa, Gujarat, Haryana, Uttarakhand and Delhi.
India has achieved another significant milestone in its fight against COVID-19 as more than 75 lakh people have recovered so far. The national COVID recovery rate has reached 91.68%. The recovered cases in the country are over 13 times the number of active cases, with overall recovery of nearly 75,45,000 patients. In the last 24 hours, nearly 53,000 patients have recovered and been discharged, whereas the new confirmed cases reported in the same time span dropped below 50,000 and stood at nearly 45,000. The active caseload of the country has also fallen below 7%. The total positive cases in the country today stands at 5,61,908, which comprises merely 6.83% of the total reported cases. With a high number of COVID patients recovering every day, along with a steadily falling and sustained low mortality rate, India's trend of registering decreasing active cases continues. The Health Ministry said enhanced countrywide medical infrastructure, implementation of the Centre's standard treatment protocol by the states and union territories have led to a persistent increase in the number of total recoveries in the country. It said total dedication and commitment of doctors, paramedics and frontline workers led to a commensurate dip in the fatality rate, which stands at 1.49%. Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla reviewed the situation of COVID-19 in Delhi today as part of the regular process. The meeting was also attended by Dr. V.K. Paul, Member Niti Aayog, Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and other senior officers of Government of NCT of Delhi. The Delhi government made a presentation on the present situation of COVID-19 in the national capital, which is witnessing third surge in cases. While the new COVID cases and total active cases are going up, the administration is focusing on testing, contact tracing and treatment. The recent surge in the number of active cases was attributed to the festival season. In Karnataka, the number of recoveries far exceeded the COVID-19 new cases for the 18th consecutive day. As compared to 3,652 new COVID cases, the number of people recovered and discharged today were 8,053. More from a correspondent.
There is a marked reduction in the daily positive cases in the state. As compared to August and September, the COVID-19 related deaths have also declined in October. It is said that increased testing, early detection and early treatment in the state has helped curb the surge in cases. In September, the state was conducting around 40,000 tests, which has now increased to over 1 lakh tests daily. While over 10,000 new COVID cases were recorded earlier in October, it came down to below 4,000 per day by October end. The State War Room in charge, Munish Maudgil, says testing, especially RT-PCR tests, have cut down the new COVID cases numbers. The recovery rate is now at over 92%. Case fatality rate is 1.4%. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
Kerala confirmed 4,138 fresh COVID-19 cases today, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said while briefing media after a COVID evaluation meeting. In all, 7,108 recoveries and 21 deaths were also reported in the state. Out of the new cases, 3,599 were infected through contact and source of 438 cases was unknown. 47 health workers also tested COVID positive. At present, there are 86,681 active cases in Kerala. A total of 3,55,943 people have recovered in the state so far. The COVID death toll in the state is 1,533 now. In Puducherry, the downward trend in coronavirus infection continued, with just 70 people testing positive for the infection in all the 4 regions of the Union Territory. No death was reported from COVID-19 infection today. More from our correspondent.
According to the COVID-19 status report released by the Health Department, 62 of the new cases were reported in Puducherry region, 6 in Yanam and 2 in Mahe. Meanwhile, 482 persons were discharged from various hospitals. So far, 35,178 persons were infected by the virus, of which 31,627 were treated and discharged and 595 died, leaving 2,956 active cases here. The fatality rate in the Union Territory is 1.69% and the recovery rate is 89.91%. Chandramohan, AIR News, Puducherry.
In Navi Mumbai, the doubling period of coronavirus infection has reduced to 239 days. The quantum of fresh COVID-19 cases in the month of September was 15.39%. It has come down to 9.33% in October. As on the 31st of October, a total of 44,521 coronavirus cases were reported, out of which 41,803 patients have recovered and returned home, while 901 patients died. In Dhule district, the number of coronavirus cases began to subside in the month of October. We have a report from our Mumbai correspondent.
Compared to other major cities, Navi Mumbai has a COVID recovery ratio of 93.9% and a mortality rate of 2.02%. The declining number of new corona infections and the increasing number of recoveries, on the other hand, have left the beds empty in the COVID care centers in Navi Mumbai. On the other hand, the last 3 months had seen a major outbreak of corona pandemic in Dhule city and district. But in month of October, the corona wave began to subside in the district. Sweetie Jane, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Manipur, 9 persons expired due to COVID-19 in the past 24 hours, taking the total fatality due to the pandemic in the state to 180. On the other hand, 341 people, including 28 personnel from the Central Armed Police Force, have tested positive for COVID-19 in the past 24 hours. 278 people were discharged in the past 24 hours in the state, and the recovery rate is 80.36%. In Assam, educational institutions were reopened in the state today after a gap of 8 months. Classes have resumed following all COVID-19 protocols. Students, teachers and staff were screened at the entry point. The BSF Meghalaya headquarters on Pling campus is now free of COVID-19 cases. Addressing the media, DIG and BSF Medical Officer of Composite Hospital, Dr. A.C. Bharadwajan said that they currently have 0 COVID-19 cases in their hospital. You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. All arrangements in place for second phase of state assembly elections in Bihar tomorrow. 94 constituencies spread over 17 districts to go for polls in this phase. Centre extends emergency credit line guarantee scheme till 30th of this month. National COVID recovery rate improves to 91.68%. Donald Trump and Joe Biden seek votes in battleground state on last day of U.S. presidential campaign. And in IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals take on Royal Challengers Bangalore in Abu Dhabi. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back. Air India will operate 4 more Vande Bharat mission flights between India and China. These flights will be operated from Delhi on the 13th, 20th and 27th of November and the 4th of December. The Indian Embassy in a notification said that Indian nationals and eligible OCI card holders who wish to travel to Delhi must register with the Indian Embassy or Indian consulates as per jurisdiction. Those who have registered earlier for repatriation but could not travel by previous VBM flights are required to re-register themselves. Indian citizens desirous to travel back to mainland China can also avail these flights. With just a day left for the US presidential elections, President Donald Trump is campaigning for support in 4 battleground states today, while Democratic rival Joe Biden focuses on Pennsylvania and Ohio during the final day of campaigning. Trump will hold rallies in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin and 2 in Michigan. He won those states in 2016 against Democrat Hillary Clinton. Trump will wrap up his campaign in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the same place he concluded his 2016 presidential run, with a post-midnight rally on Election Day. Trump claimed he had momentum and promised an economic revival and imminent delivery of a vaccine to fight the pandemic. Joe Biden and his running mate Kamala Harris are in Pennsylvania, splitting up to hit all 4 corners of a state that has become vital to the former vice president's hopes. Joe Biden will rally union members and members of the African American community in the Pittsburgh area. Biden accuses Trump of giving up on fighting the pandemic, which has killed more than 230,000 Americans and cost millions of jobs. In Afghanistan, 19 people including students were killed and 22 others injured when gunmen stormed Kabul University today. Authorities said Afghan security forces shot the gunmen dead. Interior Ministry spokesman Tariq Aryan said one of the attackers detonated explosives. He said the attack began around the time government officials were expected to arrive at the campus for the opening of an Iranian book fair. The assault on Kabul University came about a week after a devastating attack on an educational center in the city, which killed more than 40 students. The Taliban denied involvement and condemned the attack. The Islamic State group has targeted educational centers in Afghanistan in recent years. Violence in Afghanistan has worsened in recent months, even as the Taliban conduct peace talks with the government in Doha, Qatar. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 11 land laws have been repealed that existed in the erstwhile state of J&K, replacing the old regressive, intrinsically contradictory and outdated laws with a set of modern, progressive and people-friendly provisions. Our correspondent reports that the new land laws will not only afford protection to over 90% of the land in the UT from being alienated to outsiders, but will also help revamp the agriculture sector faster, rapid industrialization, aid economic growth, and create jobs in the UT. The repealed laws were made to serve the old agrarian-based economy and were required to be modified for modern economic needs. The new land laws are modern and progressive, even while affording adequate protection against alienation of land to outsiders. A number of protections have been built into the new land laws on similar lines as has been enacted in other states such as Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. No agricultural land can be transferred to any person from outside the UT of J&K, but can only be sold to an agriculturist from within J&K. No land meant for agricultural purpose can be used for any non-agricultural purpose.
The 24th edition of the Malabar Naval Exercise is scheduled in 2 phases during the current month. The first phase of the exercise, Malabar 20, involving participation by the Indian Navy, United States Navy, Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force and Royal Australian Navy, is set to commence off Visakhapatnam in Bay of Bengal from tomorrow. It will continue till 6th of this month. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted the people on the occasion of the Prakash Purab of Shri Guru Ram Das Ji. In a tweet today, Mr. Modi said Shri Guru Ram Das Ji had placed great emphasis on serving others, ending all forms of inequality and discrimination. He said Guruji's quest for a kind and harmonious society inspires us all. Science and Technology Minister Dr. Harshvardhan and Prime Minister of State for Posts Sanjay Dhotre today released the special cover of Department of Posts for commemorating the Golden Jubilee Department of Science and Technology at a function in New Delhi today. Dr. Harshvardhan congratulated DST, saying that scientists have proved their mettle in all fields of science at international level.
Ministry of Tribal Affairs said today that 100 additional products in the Forest Fresh, Naturals and Organics range were unveiled online in Tribes India product range. The ministry in a statement said, since the 26th of October, Tribes India has been expanding its product range and catalogue by including 100 new products on a weekly basis. These products will be available in 125 Tribes India outlets, Tribes India mobile vans and also on online platforms such as the Tribes India e-marketplace and e-tailers. In IPL cricket, Royal Challengers Bangalore were on 134 for 4 in 18 overs against Delhi Capitals in Abu Dhabi when reports last came in. Earlier, Delhi Capitals have won the toss and elected to field. Kolkata Knight Riders kept their playoff hopes alive by thrashing Rajasthan Royals by 60 runs at Dubai last night. With this win, Kolkata have moved to the 4th spot in the points table. On the other hand, Rajasthan Royals are now out from the playoff contention after losing the match against Kolkata. In another match, Chennai Super Kings beat Kings 11 Punjab by 9 wickets at Abu Dhabi. Equity benchmarks today logged modest gains in sync with rise in global stocks. On the other hand, the rupee depreciated 32 paise against the American dollar, a report from the Business World.
The BSE 30 share index Sensex climbed 144 points or 0.36% to settle at 39,758. The NSE Nifty 50 index also rose 27 points or 0.23% to settle at 11,669. At the broader market at BSE, the BSE Midcap closed 0.36% up, while the BSE Small Cap Index depreciated 0.71%. In the forex market, the rupee weakened 32 paise to close at 73 rupees and 43 paise against the US dollar. Gold prices climbed to 43 rupees to 50,942 rupees per 10 grams, in sync with rise in the international market. Silver also surged 1,075 rupees to 61,940 rupees per kilogram. And in intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $37.10 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $34.80 per barrel. This is Lalema Aneja Dang with Sanjeev Kumar Singh for AIR News.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital will experience mist. Temperature will hover between 11 and 30 degrees Celsius in New Delhi. In Mumbai, sky will be mainly clear. Minimum temperature in the metropolis will be 23 degrees. Maximum will be around 33. Chennai is likely to witness a partly cloudy sky. Temperature will hover between 25 and 33 degrees. Kolkata is also expected to have a partly cloudy sky with temperature varying between 22 and 32 degrees Celsius. Jammu and Srinagar cities will have a mainly clear sky, but there will be much variance in temperature in Srinagar as the minimum temperature will be just 1 degree Celsius while maximum will be around 20 degrees. In Jammu, minimum temperature will be 13, maximum around 31 degrees. In Leh, sky will be mainly clear in the morning and later it will become partly cloudy. Minimum temperature will be -3 degrees Celsius while maximum will be around 12. Gilgit will also see a sunny morning, but later the sky will become partly cloudy with temperature rising from 1 to 23 degrees. In Muzaffarabad, sky will be mainly clear. Temperature will move from 7 to 28 degrees. In Dehradun, temperature will hover between 14 and 29 degrees. Sky will be mainly clear in the morning, but later It is likely to turn partly cloudy. Chandigarh sky will be partly cloudy with temperature ranging from 13 to 30 degrees. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. All arrangements in place for second phase of state assembly elections in Bihar tomorrow. 94 constituencies spread over 17 districts to go for polls in this phase. Centre extends emergency credit line guarantee scheme till 30th of this month. National COVID recovery rate improves to 91.68%. Donald Trump and Joe Biden seek votes in battleground states on last day of US presidential campaign. And in IPL cricket, Delhi Capitals take on Royal Challengers Bangalore in Abu Dhabi. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.